You won't believe what went down when our power-hungry HOA president took it upon herself to bulldoze my disabled sister's wheelchair ramp while she was at work. But what this entitled neighbor didn't realize, my sister wasn't just any resident. She was the state's governor, and that reckless decision, it was about to become the single biggest mistake of Karen's HOA reign. But how did an entire neighborhood get wrapped up in a scandal that made national headlines? Stick around, because this story takes twists and turns you wouldn't believe. Before we get into it, welcome to my channel. If you love crazy HOA and Karen stories, make sure to subscribe, because this one is absolutely wild. It all started with a bright yellow piece of paper taped to our front door. My blood boiled the second I saw it. Another HOA violation notice, the 5th one this month. And of course, it was all about my sister Sarah's wheelchair ramp. I crushed the paper in my hand, adding it to my growing pile of Karen Thompson's official warnings. Just as I did, I heard the familiar hum of Sarah's electric wheelchair rolling up the ramp behind me. Another love letter from our favorite neighbor? Sarah asked, forcing a tired smile. The dark circles under her eyes said it all. She was exhausted from long hours at her new job, but she never complained. Not about work. Not about the accident that put her in a wheelchair 6 months ago. And certainly not about Karen's relentless harassment. You'd think running the HOA would be enough to keep her busy without stalking our house. I muttered, glancing out the kitchen window. And there she was. Karen stood in her driveway, phone in hand, snapping pictures of our ramp with a look of pure spite. Her designer workout outfit and perfectly styled blonde hair couldn't hide the sheer pettiness radiating off her. I still remember the day we installed that ramp. We followed every single rule, hired a licensed contractor, secured the proper city permits, even painted it the exact shade of gray to match our house trim. But Karen, she wasn't having it. She stormed over before the concrete had even dried, HOA rulebook in hand, like it was some kind of sacred text. Section 8. Paragraph 3 clearly states that all external modifications must be approved by the board, she sniffed, her voice oozing with fake concern. We have to maintain our property values. You understand. What really got under my skin, Karen kept accidentally scheduling HOA meetings about the ramp at times Sarah couldn't attend. Not that Sarah had time anyway. She was too busy running the state. Yeah, that's right. My sister wasn't just any homeowner. She was a governor. We had kept that quiet in the neighborhood, wanting Sarah to have some privacy while she recovered. But last week, I caught Karen measuring our ramp with a tape measure. At 6 a.m., I confronted her, but she just smiled and said she was fulfilling her duty as HOA president. That's when I started documenting everything. Every letter, every picture, every interaction. Something in my gut told me we'd need it. But this morning felt different. As I helped Sarah into her car for her physical therapy appointment, I noticed Karen huddled with 2 men in suits near her house. She was pointing at our ramp, gesturing wildly. One of them scribbled in a notebook while the other took more pictures. I don't like this, I muttered. Maybe it's time we let them know who they're really messing with. But Sarah shook her head. I won't use my position for special treatment. We'll handle this the right way. I wasn't so sure the right way would be enough this time. As I watched Karen hand thick manila envelopes to the men, I felt my stomach twist. Then my phone caught her voice carried by the morning breeze. Yes, we'll need the bulldozer here first thing tomorrow morning. The board has already approved the removal. My heart stopped. They wouldn't actually tear down a wheelchair ramp, would they? As Sarah's car disappeared down the road, I sprinted inside. I pulled up our security cameras. I grabbed our folder of permits. And what I found in those documents, it would change everything. The next morning, I was halfway through breakfast when I heard it. The unmistakable rumble of heavy machinery. My spoon clattered against my bowl as I bolted to the window, and what I saw made my blood run cold. There, standing in our front yard like she owned the place, was Karen. Red blazer, perfectly styled blonde hair, smirking as she pointed at our wheelchair ramp. A man in a construction, hat knotted along. A massive yellow bulldozer sat in our driveway, its metal blade gleaming under the early morning sun. I grabbed my phone and hit record. as I ran outside. "What do you think you're doing?" I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. Karen turned, flashing that fake smile she always wore at HOA meetings. "Oh, good. You're home," she chirped, stepping toward me in her designer heels, which sank slightly into the fresh grass. "I have here an emergency order from the HOA board." She shoved a stack of papers toward me, but pulled them back before I could grab them. "This structure," she continued, voice dripping with smug satisfaction, "is in direct violation of community guidelines. Section 4.23. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "Karen, we followed every rule. We have city approval." Karen's smile never wavered. "The city isn't the HOA, dear." That's when the bulldozer revved its engine. My heart pounded. I pulled up the property maps Sarah had made me save. "This is illegal. You can't demolish private property without notice or a court order." Karen just laughed. "Notice was given 3 weeks ago," she said, waving another paper in my face. "Certified mail." I glanced at the signature. I had never seen it before. Frantically, I dialed Sarah. Straight to voicemail. I tried her assistant. No answer. The construction workers started placing orange cones around our driveway. One of them looked uncertain, flipping through his paperwork. I saw him whisper to his colleague, pointing at something that didn't seem right. "If you do this," I warned, "you'll be hearing from our lawyers. This is a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act." Karen's smile faltered. I lifted my phone higher. "No HOA is exempt from federal law." I shouted. Across the street, lights flicked on. Neighbors peeked outside. Then Karen turned to the bulldozer operator and gave a sharp nod. The engine roared. The metal blade lowered. Screech. The sound of concrete cracking made my stomach lurch. But Karen? She was so busy celebrating her so-called victory, she didn't notice the black SUVs turning onto our street, or the growing sound of sirens. I barely had time to read the text that buzzed onto my phone. "Stay calm. Keep recording. Help is 3 minutes out." A slow smile spread across my face as I looked back up at Karen. She had no idea what was coming. And in just a few minutes, she was about to regret every single decision that led her to this moment.